it's kind of a rare opportunity that one gets to speak to this many people at once. So if you guys will forgive me, I just wanted to speak my mind on a couple things. And I think it was a real mistake that the U.S. chose to fire missiles into the Middle East. I think that was a huge mistake. And I think that it's very important that the United States start to look towards nonviolent means of resolving conflicts. Because if we... Hold on, give me 1 second here.
Want to see what using your platform for the greater good looks like? Look no further than MCA's speech at the 1998 VMAs after the Beastie Boys won an award.
Because if those bombings that took place in the Middle East were thought of as a retaliation by the terrorists, and if we thought of what we did as retaliation, certainly we're going to find more retaliation from people in the Middle East, from terrorists specifically, I should say, because most Middle Eastern people are not terrorists. And I think that's another thing that America really needs to think about is our racism that comes from the United States towards Muslim people and towards Arabic people. And that's something that has to stop. And the United States has to start respecting people from the Middle East in order to find a solution to the problem that's been building up over many years. So I thank everyone for your patience and letting me speak my mind on that.
I just need everyone to understand how big of a stand this was. In addition to manufacturing consent with the masses, the U.S. empire was empiring.
Earlier today, I ordered American forces to strike Iraq.
Many will remember Live Aid with Queen's performance that stole the show. And the sole purpose of said show was raising funds and awareness for famine relief in Africa.
Also, don't forget the big Tibetan Freedom Concert this weekend in San Francisco, which we'll be covering live.
Adam Yauch and activist Aaron Potts had an idea of their own, a concert to bring attention to Tibet. Big-time acts like the Fugees, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage, Pavement, Smashing Pumpkins, Beck, Bjork, De La, Radiohead, Sonic Youth, Tribe, and more performed.
Why a concert, Adam? Why did this seem like a good idea, a good way to get the message across?
Well, I think the main thing that everyone has to realize about the situation, about what's happening is our own involvement in it and how we fuel the corporations by our spending that are actually helping with the oppression that's going on in China. And the main purpose of the concert is just for people to really realize how on a daily basis, every time when we go shopping, when we spend money, that we're actually supporting human rights abuses. And it's just important for everyone to understand that our corporations are making campaign contributions to our elected officials in exchange for our elected officials making foreign policy that separates human rights issues from trade issues.
This benefit was billed as the anti-Woodstock and for good measure from Pitchfork's Mark Hogan. When the Beastie Boys headlined the 1994 Lollapalooza tour, bandmates Michael Mike D. Diamond and Adam Adrock Horowitz signed on, donating $1 from the sale of each ticket to Milarepa, while Potts trekked along with 8 Tibetan monks and an information tent. But Yauch and Potts always wanted to organize a concert of their own.
Corporations just strictly motivated by greed are moving ahead and trying to make as much money as they can, and our government is going right along with it. Our elected officials are saying, yeah, we'll take your campaign contributions. And so it's crucial for us as individuals, as human beings, and as Americans to demand that our government and our elected officials, and especially President Clinton, take a stand on this stuff.
When Potts met Yauch at a party in 1992, she was skeptical. However, once the conversation turned to Tibet, they bonded. She'd say, I'm an activist, he's a musician. When you put the two together, what do you get? A benefit concert was pretty obvious as one of the things that we could do.
The reason that we've chosen to focus on that issue specifically is because it embodies all these principles of nonviolence, and the whole Tibet struggle for freedom is based on nonviolence.
The message was loud and clear as well, with speeches, Tibetan flags, monks chanting, a performance by local Tibetan music and arts troupe Chaksampa, and a purpose-built temple at the center of the grounds.
The Beasties recently formed the nonprofit Milarepa Fund to support the embattled Tibetan people and their culture. The foundation is getting royalties from 2 tracks on ill communication. A group of Tibetan monks who delivered their unique vocal music at last weekend's Beasties benefits will also open for the Beasties on Lollapalooza 94.
Rolling Stone's Steve Solder would write at the time, Tibet was invaded in 1950 by the Chinese government, which has since pursued a policy of cultural genocide and human rights violations, destroying monasteries, resettling Chinese citizens in the region, and brutalizing the Tibetans who remained there. In the 46 years since the invasion, an estimated 1 million Tibetans have been killed and hundreds of thousands imprisoned. Of course, it's not just about how you do it. It's also about how you use your platform, and I think this is very important and interesting to this entire story. In between sets, they would have professors speak on the subject, they would have activists speak on the subject, Buddhist monks speak on the subject, and have many calls to action, even demanding the attention of the crowd. And they would propose to the crowd to do what we can all do best when we want to create a common goal against the ultra wealthy, against anyone who is in a position of power. And what is it? Knowing where to spend your money and where not to. And they would call for a boycott of Chinese-made goods. One person went into the detail of them being tortured by their oppressors. It shocked the crowd who took this all in. Potts will be quoted as saying, "I think the movement needed this burst of energy, of people coming into the movement, of the spotlight, and money, and then it needed to do the hard work that movements have to do," she said. Once more from Hogan. The rise in public attention in the U.S. simply wasn't enough. At the end of the decade, President Bill Clinton's green light for U.S. trade with China was a clear defeat for one of Tibetan activists' immediate policy goals. Tibet and other restive Chinese regions, Hong Kong, Xinjiang, and Inner Mongolia, have felt Beijing's grip only tighten. Sadly, MCA would pass away in his mid-40s, and I feel his voice is needed as much as ever. And I have a very similar feeling to how I feel about Michael Brooks. I truly believe we need Michael's voice more than ever. He inspired me in so many ways. He opened up my eyes to a lot of things, a real lot of things that I thought I knew that I simply didn't. He brought comedic relief to dark times, and I feel that there is just this void as leftists in this space. I truly feel that way because it felt like Michael was the glue. In my heart of hearts, I feel that way. Two of the best to ever do it, gone and never, ever forgotten. If there are any stories we missed, if there are any that you would like to submit, DMs are open on my socials. And if you can, please go to tyt.com/join to support the network. Thank you.